guys a couple of, we're going to talk about different types of probability. I know we kind of touched on it briefly last week in general conversation. But what I want to do is really dive into it and get to the nuts and bolts of it. And by the end of the class, the expectation is that we all kind of understand what probability is, high risk, low risk, so on and so forth, and being able to calculate. Now, one of the big things that we've learned so far this year is ratios and proportions, correct? Do you guys agree? Omari, do you agree with that? We did a lot of ratios and proportions. How about you, Don? Do you remember we did a lot of ratios and proportions? Now, we're going to take that same thought process and we're going to bring it to life with probability of simple events. Now, simple events are, I'm going to just give you the objective. We're going to be able to find out probability of a simple event. You guys will be able to understand and distinguish between a simple event and compound events. And as we go through today's class, we're going to be able to differentiate between the two. So how do we find the probability of a simple event? And the second question is, how can we distinguish between a simple event and a compound event? Now, when you think of compound, what do you think of? You know, you can just speak out. Combine. Anyone else? Who else? When you think of the word compound, okay, so more than one event. Correct? Does anyone agree, disagree? Does anyone want to add to that? Okay, let's move forward. So here's some vocabulary that we need to understand. You guys can jot down. I know that you will probably have some of those definitions in the textbook under module, lesson 1. But on the sheets of paper, you can write this down because it's going to come in handy. You know, the outcome is one possible result of the probability. Okay? Sample space is the list of possible outcomes for a probability events. Random. Outcomes that occur at random if each outcome is equally likely to occur. I mean, when you think of random, we all understand, you know, the terminology of random. A simple event, a specific outcome or type of event, and that's the one that in your groups we're going to work on first. And then when we look at complementary events, the events of one outcome happening and that outcome not happening are complementary. The sum of the probabilities of complementary events is 1. Now, for the people who would like, at the end of this class, if you want a copy of my PowerPoint, just kind of let me know and I'll make a photocopy for you guys before the end of the day is out. So let's take a look at a real-world example. Best Buy, and believe it or not, yesterday I was at Best Buy, is having an iPod giveaway. They put all the iPod shuffles in a bag. Customers may choose an iPod without looking at the color. Inside the bag are 4 orange, 5 blue, 6 green, and 5 pink iPods. If Maria chooses one iPod at random, what is the probability she will choose an orange iPod? Now, when we look at this, what are some of the first questions that automatically come to mind when you see this? Micah, can you tell me the first thing that comes to mind for you?
How many iPods are orange?
Okay, so how many iPods are orange? So, can you tell me how many orange iPods we have in this example?
4.
4. What other questions do we need to know? How many iPods in total? So when we add these up, how many iPods do we have?
20.
Repeat that again, I can't hear you.
20.
20. Okay, so we're looking for an iPod that is orange, and you said there's 4 of them. So think about this. Now, before I started the class, I said we're going to be doing a lot of ratios and proportions when we're dealing with probability. Snyder, do you agree with that? Okay, so if I was to ask you to give me a ratio of orange iPods to total, Micah, you have your hand up. Can you tell me what you think?
4 to
4 to 20. Yasir, what do you think?
1 out of 20.
1 out of 20. So I've got 4 out of 20. I've got 1 out of 20. Pros, what can you tell me? You think 4 out of 20. So I've got 2 people that say 4 out of 20, and I've got 1 person that says 1 out of 20. Yasir, can you tell me your thought process, please?
Because she only wants one iPod, and there's 20 iPods. So the probability of her getting one iPod is one iPod from out of 20.
Okay, so he's saying that the probability is 1 out of 20. Now, Nisi, I know you just came in a little late, but I'm going to call on you, okay? Now, he's saying that the probability is 1 out of 20. Are there certain things about what he said that you agree with? What do you agree with? You just speak candidly. I mean, if it's, we're going to just learn and grow off of whatever you said, okay? You want to phone a friend? Okay, pick somebody. Okay, Alfred. Now, Yasir said that the probability is 1 out of 20. They're saying that it is 4 out of 20. Are there certain things about Yasir's statement that you like?
Well, I like when he said because she only wants one iPhone.
Yep. Okay.
So what's the point of so they put all the iPhones in like a little bag and she picks one out. So she rather gets one iPhone instead of 4, so she wants one iPhone.
Okay, so I've got 2 people that kind of have the same rationale. I've got 2 others. Omari, can you add to this, please?
Like, so like, is we gonna do like something about percentage, or like, it's a 0% chance that she's gonna get like an orange iPod from a blue one or something, and like my fraction I got was like 210, like 2 over 10.
Okay, you want to add something? Go ahead.
I was thinking that it's gonna be 1 out of 4% chance of her getting the 4 or
1 out of 4% or 1 out of 4?
1 out of 4
Okay, thank you.
chance of getting the orange iPod. There's only 4 orange iPods in the bag.
Okay, so you want to add?
Yes, I said 4 over 20 because there are 4 orange iPods and there's 20 iPods. So there's 4 chances that you can get an orange iPod.
Okay, so what Micah just said, did everyone hear what she just said?
Yes.
I agree with her 100% because let's think about this for a second. Now, Mr. King, when he was thinking about some other experiments to do with you guys, I said, in terms of chance probability, I've got some coins in here, and if I said, close your eyes, I've got, 4 quarters in here and a bunch of pennies. What is the probability of getting a quarter? You've got a higher chance because I think there's more quarters in here than there are pennies. So when you look at this, we're saying that there is a 4 out of 20 chance, or you said 1 out of 4. Let's take a look because I think you're trying to simplify. So when we look at this, it's actually 1 out of 5. Your math was just slightly off. You just, is that what you said?
Yeah, I said 1 out of 5.
Thank you. 1 out of 5. So what I would tell you is, initially when you said 4 out of 20, you're looking at, in pros, you're saying that, okay, there are 4 iPods in that bag, but there's 20 in there in total. So I've got, if I dig my hand in there, I know that there are 4 iPods in there, and I've got a chance of getting one of those out of 20. Now, when we simplify, which is something that we've learned earlier this year and also in prior years, it's going to give us a 1 out of 5 chance. Okay? Does everyone understand that? Now, when we look at outcomes, probability is a chance that some event will happen. Okay? Now, as we go through, it is a ratio of number of ways a certain event can occur to the number of possible outcomes. Now, again, I started this class off by referring to ratios and proportions, which has been the major focus of grade 7. We've done a lot of work with ratios and proportions. So here's the formula that you're going to use. You might want to write this down. I know it's in your textbook, but let's get into the practice. Probability of an event. The number of favorable outcomes. So Mike, I'm going back to you. You said there were 4 iPods in there. And the number of possible outcomes, there's 20 different iPods in that bag, correct? So we have 4, the number of iPods that were orange, and then there were 20 iPods total in the bag. So we're looking at 4 out of 20, which is simplified to 1 out of 5. And let me know when you're ready, Onicia, and I'll switch through. Because I want to get to the fun part. Is everyone good? And again, like I said, if you want a copy of this PowerPoint deck, I will make copies of it for you. So let's talk about some examples that use probability. Dice. I've got a bunch of dice. In your groups, we're going to work on probability and outcomes of dice. Spinners, I told you before, the spinners that I have, when I was testing them, they didn't spin so great, so I don't want to touch on those, even though that's one of the examples that they used in the book. Coins. Mr. King brought some coins in from home, and we're going to do some probability using that. Deck of cards. Just as a review, let's see. Tell me, how many cards are in a deck of cards? Say it again. There's 52 cards in a deck of cards, okay? Now, we know that there are different types. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Those are all probability, okay? And then the alphabet. How many letters are in the alphabet? 26. How many vowels?
5.
Okay, so if we had a bunch of my kids' magnetic letters in a bag, and I said, what's the probability of us taking out a vowel? How many vowels are there again?
5.
5, and how many total letters?
26.
So 5 out of 26. Do we all understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move forward. So let's take a look at simple events. 0% chance, 25% chance, 50% chance, 75% chance, and 100% chance. So we're going to talk about this, and this is where we're going to have an opportunity for you guys to have some conversation with at your tables about these different events. And when you guys finish with that, we're going to, I'm going to call out, we're going to share. I'm also going to start passing out coins, and we're going to do some experiments as in your tables. The papers that I provided, you guys will be able to write down the outcomes of each chance event. So I'm going to give you an example. You can hold on to that till after. So I'm going to give you a 0% probability. You ready for this one? I'm going to give you an example. Mr. King decides to go out in space without a spacesuit on or an oxygen tank. There's a 0% chance that I'm going to be able to breathe. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. A 25% chance. Let's just say I've got popsicles. I went out yesterday to get popsicles. I've got 4 flavors.
It's 1 out of 4.
It's 1 out of 4, so 25% chance. Let's just say I want that cherry one. And I've got my eyes closed and I'm digging in that bag. Because there's only 4 colors, I've only got a 1 out of 4 chance of getting cherry. 50% chance. Right here, which is what you guys are going to do first. Heads or tails? How many people watch football? Raise your hand. What is one of the things that they do at the very beginning of a football game?
They actually change
Coin toss.
Coin toss. Is that what you were going to say? Thank you. Coin toss. Heads or tails? Right? Then we have a 75% chance or a probability. Now, 75% chance would say, okay, let's go back to those popsicles that I have for you guys. I've got 1 grape, 3 cherry. Isn't that a 75% chance that I might be able to get a cherry?
Yes.
Okay. Now, 100% chance, I'm going to say the sun comes out every day. Whether it's cloudy or not, the sun is always out. Do you agree?
Yes.
There's a 100% chance that